My name is Fanny Tucker. I would like you to know a little bit about my life. My parents were Walter Adam Tucker and Mary McCallum. I was born in 1853 in Grey County, Ontario. In 1873 I married James William Simpson. James was born in 1846 Leeds County, to James Simpson and Anna Sherwood. We had 8 children: Walter called Watt, James, Alfred, Annie, William, Jean, Margaret, and Alice. James and I moved to the Bruce Peninsula at Lion's Head. James worked on the boats on the Great Lakes. Lion's Head lies between the Georgian Bay and stormy Lake Huron. We had a 200-acre concession facing what was afterwards a main highway between the northern part or the Bruce Peninsula and Wyerden. At the time we moved there it was nearly all bush. Very few families lived in the district. James would call me out of the house when he was felling a tree, for fear the tree would fall on our log house. James was always looking for better opportunities. In 1891, James left for Manitoba, promising to send me money for the family's expenses. But he had very little money to spare. So I had to work outside with my young sons in order to make a living for the family. We had a lumber concession as well as the home 200 acres, and in the winter I had a lumber camp with my sons Walter and Alfred. My daughter Annie cooked for the men while I went back and forth between home and Barrows Bay, where we sold the lumber. Accidents were common in those dangerous pioneer days. On one occasion I went berry picking with my little girls Jean and Alice. The horse that was pulling the cart spooked and took off running. The 2 little girls were thrown out, and berries scattered all over. But I had wrapped the horse's reins around my waist because they were too long, and I was thrown out and taken 3 times around the wheel on a gravel road. The skin was all rubbed off one side of my face, and they picked me up for dead and carried me into a house. When I regained consciousness, my first thoughts were for my 2 little girls, who blessedly were both safe. Alice stayed with me until I was able to be brought home. In 1897, I traveled to Manitoba and discussed our situation with James. He gave me a power of attorney, which allowed me to sell our property at Lion's Head and move the family to Manitoba. The long trip by train was an adventure to the children. After a year and a half, James left again, and I farmed our property at McDonald, Manitoba with my children. In 1905 I moved again, this time pioneering in the Willow Hill district of Saskatchewan. My son Walter never married, and I lived with him. We lived on his homestead until 1925 when his home was destroyed by fire. We then moved across the road, where we continued farming. Life was hard at times, but I learned to trust in the Lord and to trust in good people. Thank you for your interest in my story.